Huskers done with now 6 spring practices here on Thursday. Hi, Sean Callahan with HuskerOnline.com as we caught up with quarterbacks coach Glenn Thomas, along with backup Jaylen Grahamstad, and then offensive line coach Donovan Raiola following practice here on Thursday. And, you know, it was interesting to hear from Thomas as he talked about just the growth and the progression of starting quarterback Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, I think just the whole process in general, I was super excited about, obviously the expectations and what we wanted or needed him to do. And to be quite honest, he did a lot of that. As a true freshman, you lose sight of a lot of times, stepping in that environment and what that environment is. And for the things that he was able to accomplish was super, super positive, and think he can build upon it in the future. There were some ups and downs, obviously, which I thought he handled some of the low points. I thought he handled very well. He's been humble to learn from them and to get better from them. So, as you work through that process, the same thing's going to happen next year, right? And you can rely back on those experiences, how you handled them and how not to handle them, or whatever the case may be.
And for Thomas, it's also been a transition since late last season as he works now under Dana Holgorsen, but he said it's been great because Holgorsen was able to really get going on what he does late last season.
Yeah, I think it probably in hindsight it was a blessing. I know he had spoke of, the timing being unique, but we're so much ahead at this point than we would have been if he came in January, like I believe he spoke of. So, it was a unique timing, like you said. It kind of came in the bye week, and there was some learning curve, not only from his end, but from our end as far as expectation and trying to, update him on some of the terminology and, just what we were trying to get done, and then also vice versa, what he wanted to get done. So this has been a really, really good time for us to kind of get on the same page, same terminology, same thought process. So yes, in hindsight, it was a tough situation, but we're really benefiting from it right now.
Huskers have also added a couple of new faces at quarterback in TJ Lateef and Marcos Davila.
Well, I tell you, the exciting part of that is Dylan and Jaylen are so good at helping them. That makes it so much easier in the room. So, I'll try to speak to both sides of it. You want to try to speak to the highest, graduate level, if you will, as far as quarterback play, but also you want to, coach the details, but also the big coaching points. But when they can kind of intermingle and talk, amongst themselves, that makes life a lot easier for me. So I think the room is in a very, very good place that way as far as each other helping each other. Yeah, I think just he does have the experience. He comes from a little different system, so there's some learning curve that way. But just the experience in the room, I think, has been positive. He's been humble. People kind of pick his brain of other things that he's done. But just the depth in the room, I think, just brings competition and excitement as far as anybody's in there. He made some great plays today, matter of fact. And then TJ's in there, and it's just the standard of when you're in there, it's going to make a play, whether you're with the first team or the third team, whatever the case may be.
But really one of the better stories on this team here in the spring on offense is that backup quarterback, as former NAIA National Player of the Year Jaylen Grahamstad, who didn't really get going at Nebraska till almost July last year, is now in a position to be the number 2 quarterback.
Well, obviously he's the experience. He's kind of the older guy in the room, had success before he came here, but his personality is infectious. He's very humble, very competitive. He's liked, from the offense, from the defense. Everybody loves what he's doing, what he stands for. So he brings a lot of things to the table that way. And this spring's important for him. You lose sight. Even us as coaches, we lose sight. Sometimes he didn't even get here until the spring of last summer, right? So he was kind of learning the offense, kind of from behind even during the spring. So, we've talked about the importance of the bowl practice for him and how he was able to accelerate his learning process. And then this spring, we're looking for, another big step as far as his role in that room.
I feel caught up. I feel like I'm super comfortable just, this being in this, like in spring, just having a lot of time now to just get so familiar with the plays and the terminology and all that. So, yeah, I feel super comfortable and just, I feel like I don't have to think a whole lot when I'm out there.
And for Grahamstad, his relationship with Dylan Raiola was one of the key reasons why he came back.
Yeah, I think just I'm able to just, just be there, just for anything like we talked about, just some coverages that we're seeing or just some ideas within the offense. Just being there, just to talk to him, being a great friend, for him. And, just being around him is a lot of fun. He's just a great teammate. And, I think our relationship is, very well. And he expressed, he wanted me to come back, and I didn't really know, and so that was great hearing, that, I was wanted in the quarterback room and wanted to be a part of this. So, yeah, just me and him were just competing out there, pushing each other, and just, doing our best to, get better every day. Kind of talked after the Iowa game a little bit, after that tough loss, and, he kind of said it then in the locker room, like, it'd be awesome if you came back. And then we kind of texted a little bit when we went home for winter breaks. We texted a little bit, had some conversations over text. And so, he just expressed, like, man, I don't know what you're going to decide, but, like, it'd be awesome if I want you to come back. He expressed how he wanted me to, and he wanted me to be here and be on the team and, helping, so, that was kind of, the conversations.
Then on the offensive line, we caught up with Donovan Raiola as he looks at his group, which in terms of experience, it's about as deep and veteran as it gets.
They're always great, great people to be around. And, with the additions, you got a bunch of vets. You got a bunch of young guys, so everyone's, working hard to coach each other and bring the new guys up to the standard, right, and help them understand it, and then, keep coaching those young guys and get them better.
Rocco Spindler was one of the bigger transfer additions on this line as he brings multiple years of experience from Notre Dame.
See, Rocco, played for my mentor, Coach Easton, for 1 year, so he understands what's the expectations when, just from playing for Coach Easton. So he's been a great addition, and obviously Elijah as well. So,
speaking of experience, Nebraska did have former Husker Cam Jurgens, now an all-pro center with the Philadelphia Eagles, address the team earlier this week.
Those guys are, you can't put a value on, some of those younger guys in the room from Nebraska. They're like, oh, that's Cam Jurgens, right? But he was one of us, right? He was a player here, and he's an in-state guy. So whatever information Cam has, we try to pass that along to the guys. And I told Cam, I said, hey, get out here and freaking coach these guys up. Whatever you see, you can help them out. He's just another set of eyes and another voice.
And finally, as Raiola puts together the puzzle of this offensive line, there's a lot of pieces out right now. Guys like Gunnar Gatula, Teddy Prohaska, Turner Corcoran, and even Henry Latosky, who's limited, that will factor in the fall, and that will be Raiola's job to kind of figure out the best mix.
Building a unit, right, of 5 guys is not always the best 5, right? It's a group of 5 men that's going to work together, and sometimes it might be 6, 7, 8 guys, right? I'm not against rotating guys, so those guys, like you said, have versatility, and we really try to build that through these practices with other guys as well, right? One guy plays on the right for a couple snaps, goes to the left, so because as you progress through college and you get opportunities in the NFL, you're going to have to be able to play both sides. So, being able to have those guys, veteran presences, right? Henry's over there too, right? They're out there every day coaching. They're in meetings coaching, and they understand the offense at a high level. So I'm very comfortable with them taking those guys, those young guys, and coaching them up if I'm not around. But, yeah, they're doing a great job.
Huskers return here on Saturday for spring practice number 7. Reporting with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.